Guys, what's up? Saturday, early evening here in Sydney. Tomorrow we have UFC 282. This will be my first week taking this gambling show from Instagram and doing it on my YouTube channel live. So I'm going to go over briefly all 12 fights. We're going to pick winners and losers. I also have the app we use down here in Australia is called Sportsbet. So what I'll do is if you're brave enough like me to put all 12 of my picks on one parlay, I'll give you those odds at the end. Starting off with the prelims, the very first fight, you have South African Cameron Saaiman versus Steven Kozlow. Cameron Saaiman comes out of that camp with Dricus du Plessis, who's fighting on this card as well. There's a lot of pop behind these South Africans. Both guys, Cameron and du Plessis, are champions in the large South African MMA organization. Cameron's a $1.25. Steven Kozlow's a $5 underdog. Obviously, to get this ball rolling, we're going to take Cameron, put him on your card, parlay at $1.25. Moving forward, fight 2, we got TJ Brown versus Eric Silva. When this fight got announced, everybody was getting super excited. They thought this was Eric Silva, the one who fought he was in the UFC for 5 years, the Tiger from Brazil. This isn't that Eric Silva, the one who had that war with Matt Brown. This is a different Eric Silva, but he's tough in his own right. TJ Brown, this fight is a pick'em. Brown was a Kraus guy. Pretty sure. Maybe, quote me on that. I'm pretty sure he cross-trained at Glory. Obviously, doesn't do it anymore. This is a pick'em fight. Eric Silva, I watched him on the regionals. TJ Brown, win one, lose one type of guy. Even money, I'm going to take Eric Silva. That's 2 down at $1.90. Put that on my parlay real quick. Moving forward, fun fight here. So far for this fight to be so far on the undercard is crazy on the prelim. Billy Quarantillo versus Alexander Hernandez. Billy Q versus Alexander the Great. If you remember, when Alexander bursted on the scene, he's the last guy to beat at 155. He made his debut. It was a huge upset. Man, my mind's going blank. Flying knee knockout. It'll come to me. Anyway, he's I'm pressing pause because how do I forget this? My mind. Alexander the Great. I'm slipping. He came in and beat. Somebody answer me. We're not moving forward until I get this because it's going to drive me insane. Who did he was talking all that shit. He had so much pop. Came in and he beat with his first fight Benny Dariush. How dare you not know that, Benil? So yeah, this is Alex beat Benil Dariush and Olivier Aubin-Mercier. 2 great wins to start his career. Mercier just won $1 million with the PFL, and we know Benny always seems one fight away from a title. Billy Q's a tough kid. You put 100 on Billy Q, you get 50 back. You put 100 on Alex, you get 240 back. I'm taking Hernandez. Hernandez is a 155er, kind of an in-betweener. This fight's at 145. Billy Q's a tough kid, takes a lot of damage. I think Alex is going to start off strong and get the victory. I'm putting Alexander the Great on my ticket at a 240. Add him to your parlay moving forward. Another fight on the prelims. This could be a co-main on a fight night. Chris Curtis versus Yoquan Buckley. There was some animosity if you guys watched the weigh-ins. Now, based on that, now here are the odds. Curtis, you put 100 on Curtis, you get 230 back. 100 on Buckley, you're only getting 100 back. I'm taking Curtis. I didn't like Buckley's energy at the stare downs. He looked very nervous. He was very stiff. Curtis looked real loose. Curtis is coming off that loss against Hermanson, and they both need a win here. Curtis is more veteran. Buckley has more pop, bit of a social media guru sensation. He's known for his highlight reel knockouts. So I'm going against the grain, though, here. I'm taking Curtis at a 230 underdog, putting him on my parlay. That's 4 down, 8 to go. Moving on. Edmund Shabazian versus Dolce Lugambula. Shabazian, this is his first camp since he's left Edmund, and a lot's been said about that. He said it was a toxic relationship. I think he left Ronda as well. Rousey was his manager. Shabazian, coming in off the Contender Series, had so much hype. The first one, he's lost his last 3. Brunson was the first one to kind of showcase the holes in his game. Granted, Edmund's still young, but he's taking on a Lugambula guy who also needs a win. Shabazian's a $130 favorite, 100 on him, you get 30 back. Lugambula, big underdog, 100 on him, you get 300 back. I'm taking Shabazian, keep us in the winner's circle at a $130. Fight number 6, we got the 18-year-old kid still in high school. Raul Rosas Jr. versus Jay Perrin. Now, Jay Perrin, bit of a journeyman. He's kind of put in there to, I don't want to say a stepping stone because, he needs a victory as well. And we haven't seen the best out of Jay. He's just a veteran. He's fighting an 18-year-old. So he's coming in with a chip on his shoulder. Rosas, though, for being 18, you watch him on the Contender Series. You watch when Dana gave his contract. I'm not going to put him in the same category as a Chase Hooper. When Chase got signed, I think at 19 or 20, Chase was really one-dimensional, and he carried himself like a 20-year-old. Rosas isn't that. Raul Rosas carries himself like he's in his mid-20s. Don't let that young age fool you. I think the odds makers are on that as well. I'm actually going to take the 18-year-old to beat the 30-year-old. Rosas, you put 100 on him, you get 40 back. Let's go there, roll the dice, pick the 18-year-old to get off on a winning start in the UFC, and let's see if he could make a run. Moving forward, this is sort of a crossroads fight, in my opinion. The Dawkins brothers came into the UFC with all the hype. Philadelphia kids, hard-nosed as hell. I mean, what do you do, though, man? When you're at the highest level in the UFC, especially in the heavyweight division, there are no easy fights. Dawkins has taken on Rosenstrike. I think it's a bad matchup. I think, Dawkins is a 240 dog. 100 on Chris, you get 240 back. 100 on Rosenstrike, you get 50 back. I just think Dawkins, he is athletic. You know what? I'm going to flip-flop here. I'm going to take Dawkins as the underdog. This whole week, I thought Rosenstrike was going to win. I watched just got done watching the weigh-ins. I'm going to use a bit of psychology. Rosenstrike is very predictable. He's going to come forward. He's been known to have lackluster performances, but Dawkins is coming off of a losing streak, bigger, athletic. You put 100 on Chris, you get 243 back. I'm taking Chris. Throw him on the ticket. All right, guys, we got 5 fights left. Bryce Mitchell versus Ilia Topuria. Now, for some reason, the UFC has to Bryce at 15-1. He's undefeated. His only loss was in the amateurs, non-professional loss on the reality show when he lost to the Canadian kid, came to the UFC and then got cut, kind of looked like a serial killer, but he's no longer in the UFC. Bryce is undefeated. Topuria is undefeated. I think that Topuria, he got in a lot of beef last night and the last 6 months with Paddy Pimblett, who fights up a weight class. This fight's at 145. If you were to watch the press conference, Topuria got into it with Paddy, who isn't even his opponent. It's not a good move to look past Bryce. Bryce looks like he's a man on a mission. It's gonna be a great fight. Topuria is super talented. I think I'm gonna go with Bryce at the underdog. You give me a 2-1 odds on a Bryce Mitchell fight, I'm taking it all day. You throw 100 on Bryce, you get 200 back. A lot of people are gonna disagree with me, but hey, this is gambling. Let's roll the dice and throw Bryce on our ticket. We got 4 fights left. This is Darren Till versus Duplessis. A lot of people say Till should stay at 170. This is a 185er. He's fighting the aforementioned former South African champion, Dracus Duplessis. Has a lot of pop behind him. Duplessis is going to be the bigger guy. If you would have asked me this 2 fights ago, I would have picked Dracus nonstop, no questions asked. In his last fight, you got to see some holes in his gas tank and his cardio. He started to fade. Till needs a win. I mean, he's lost, it seems, 4 in a row. Where's he going to go? He's going 170, 185. The book on Till was a guy that has fought for the title twice, and injuries has been kind of the thing on him. But once again, I think I'm going to look for Darren to turn back the clock. I was watching him train. You put 100 on Darren, you get 250 back. He spent a lot of time, the camp in Sweden, and we'll see what happens. It's hard for me to bet against Duplessis. It's just, my dad always said, bet with your wallet, not your heart. I'm going to go my heart here. I'm taking Till. I just want Darren to get a victory. So if you take Till, you got him at a 250, which is crazy. I feel comfortable with that fight. 3 fights to go. Morono, the kid is a beast. They call him the Great White for a reason. He's a jiu-jitsu wizard. Taking this fight on literally like a week notice. It's a catchweight fight at 180. He's fighting Santiago Ponzinibbio, Argentinian's MMA god. And Ponzinibbio is a guy, once again, derailed a couple years from his career with injuries. Looks like he's back on track. This is at 180. 100 on Alex, you get 250. Alex is on a roll, too. He's on a hot streak. Generally, the odds say if you take the fighter who takes the fight on short notice doesn't really do well. I'm gonna stick with that trend. I'm gonna take Ponzinibbio just for the sake of having a camp. You put 100 on him, it's a $150. It shows how tough Morono is, though. On like a week notice, he's only a 250 dog, but we're gonna take Santiago to see, continue that momentum and see maybe if he could create a run. 2 fights left, co-main, Gordon versus Pimblett. Jared Gordon's a 3-1 dog. Patty's a 140. Shit. I mean, this is going to be a tough fight. It's not going to be a wash. Gordon is a great grappler. Pimblett's good on the ground as well. Submission threat. Pimblett obviously has the pop. From here on out, anyone who Patty fights, he's going to see their best version. This will hands down be Patty's best test, stiffest opponent in the UFC. It's hard for me right now on his career trajectory, though, to bet against him. I like Gordon. I like what he brings to the table. But MMA and UFC, marketing, promotion, momentum, you could feel when a guy has it. You could feel when a guy doesn't. I'd be shocked if Patty loses. You take Patty $140. That's pretty good money. Put him on the ticket. We got 1 fight left. This is our 12th fight. Polish Power versus the Dagestani heavyweight who really doesn't fight like a traditional Dagestani. Ankalaev is a savage everywhere. He can knock you out with knees, kicks. He could grapple you. He could submit you. Polish Power Blachowicz, former champion, wants his belt back, getting up there in age. Kind of got in this situation due to an injury, a bit fluky. Once again, back to the momentum conversation. When you get a guy like Ankalaev who has this momentum, you just see his career trajectory as a champion, and he's dynamic everywhere. I just don't see Blachowicz beating him. Ankalaev is smart. I think he's going to negate that power. He's going to circle away from Jan's power side. I think he'll get a finish somewhere in the 3rd or 4th. I like Ankalaev at $130. And let's see if you put all of those 12 fights on the same card. $10. I'm a big gambler, aren't I? $10 will get you 10,000. So there you go. If you listen to me, $10 will pay 10,000. Everyone who listens to me, send me your message after, and I'll say you're welcome. Cheers. Enjoy the fights.